Activism.
The classic picture we all think of when someone says activist is someone out marching with signs.
It's important that we keep finding ways to assert action, behavior, in order to have a sense of control.
I believe that my voice, along with everybody else's voice, can, does, and will continue to make a difference.
So when people were racist towards me, my response was to fight. I couldn't just sit back and see the things that I was seeing and not do anything.
37 years ago, I decided that maybe I could do something about the prevalence of child abuse in families.
I didn't like the way African Americans were being treated, the way women were being treated, the restrictions society put on you in different frameworks of life. All of these things eventually came together for me and said, you should not only speak up for yourself, you should speak up for others.
When I moved to Monroeville and Gateway High School, I came into a predominantly white environment and I faced racism, like in your face. It was the first time like I was called nigger to my face. For my mother, education was everything. So getting suspended meant that could go on my permanent record and that could affect the cost. My mother forbid me to fight. And so we formed a black club. We got to school to teach a black history class. And so that was my introduction to, okay, I can't physically fight anybody, so this is how I'm gonna fight back. I'm gonna try to create a more equitable place for not only the black students that were at Gateway at that time, but those that came after me.
When the Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade, when that decision was first leaked, I was shocked and confused. I had thought abortion rights were solid and this wasn't a thing that I needed to worry about. But what that did was put everything back to the states to decide. And as someone who's fairly new to Pennsylvania, I had no idea how the Pennsylvania state government worked, who my state legislators were, and what the state of abortion rights in Pennsylvania were if it was no longer a constitutional right.
You're an activist, you're being active, right? I think an organizer is somebody that actually begins to mobilize people around particular ideas, around maybe changes in particular policies.
Antoine's face is right there for the world to see.
I would consider myself both.
I led a nonprofit organization called Family Resources. I was able to lead the local child welfare agency and tried in those ways to make a difference around children being injured in families. And today, the foundation work that I do is very centered around this issue.
Back in 1980, as I started working for the Urban League movement, I saw more and more opportunity to grow. I could influence individuals, families, communities, organizations.
One Hood is involved in a lot of causes and we're artists. So art is kind of the basis and foundation of One Hood, but we use our art to speak to issues of social justice.
Stop killing us! Stop killing us!
We just launched a website last year called blackpittsburgh.com, where it's a platform for us as black people to tell our own stories. We're involved in policy and advocacy. Ultimately, we want to see Pittsburgh be a place that's livable for everybody and not just a select few.
I am the founder of Choice Tracker. ChoiceTracker.org is a website that allows anyone in Pennsylvania to enter their address and find their state representatives and their state senators and better understand where those people stand on abortion rights. And then encourages them to get involved by calling their legislators or voting. It affects everyone, but it can affect certain populations much more deeply. People who have money can travel to the places that they need to go. And so for people who do not have as much wealth, often Black and brown communities, that can be quite difficult for them to actually get the health care they need.
every human being has time to do a tiny bit of advocacy. It doesn't have to overwhelm your life.
Some people are activists in the street demonstrating. Some people are more quiet about their activism.
Most of my work is happening from my couch behind a computer screen.
I'm not always protesting or demonstrating. I mean, I think I am in the public spaces trying to change public policy.
No, you don't win every time, but that just means you need a new strategy for that particular effort.
I do think that everyone who's an activist may not be doing things that advances humanity. There are lots of people that may, in fact, use activism and promote aggression and violence and actually do things to harm others. So activism in itself is generally a good thing, but it also can be a not very good thing for humanity. I think the kind of activism I'm talking about is the kind of activism that is awakened when we get a sense of purpose and direction.
When I think about activism and people getting involved, I always encourage people to get involved through what they love to do, right? So I love hip hop, like my activism comes through the lens of hip hop.
Pour in the wipe their mouth, the last gas of a world that is dying out.
We're living right now in a time where my phone is blowing up with bad news constantly. And I think for the last 2 years, it's led to me just feeling very hopeless. Now that I have something to channel that into, I feel so much less hopeless.
Oftentimes, my art is my therapy. So I've written songs around police brutality. One of the most well-known was a song about Trayvon. I cried writing it, but that anger and emotion I was able to let out into a song that then became a song that helped to get people around the world to know about Trayvon.
It has been really surprising how much doing something, trying to fix this tiny piece of the puzzle, has helped everything feel a little bit better.
I discovered and decided that I need to have a real long-term direction to my life, to my work, and decided that the work I can do to try to make a difference in the area of child abuse, I would spend the rest of my life doing. So it provides for me daily a sense of meaning, purpose, direction.
Oftentimes, being angry is that first step. So I think like when you are angry and upset, to go get involved, to go to a rally, to go to a protest, it becomes a release. Not only do you express your anger and frustration, but you also meet like-minded people. You might build with some people and you might then decide, okay, what's next?
It gives us a sense of belonging. It gives our lives a sense of direction and importance. And all of those things, I think, help in our emotional well-being.
You can actually influence anything and everything that you care about or that you are part of and see results, which makes your mindset change and turns you into a believer that you can make positive impact.
3 minutes before you die, as you look back over your life, what are those 1 or 2 things you wish you could have at least made an effort at making better in the world? What's important is that I'm trying to make a difference, not just because something's important to me, but try to make humanity a little bit better.